Nothing is for free unless you mooch it off people or steal it from someone. Today on rLounge, if you feel entitled to something, nothing is going to stop you from getting your hands on it. First off, no good deed goes unpunished. My entitled brother isn't content with free food and a free home. Background: I'm in a throuple. Me, 30-year-old male, and my two girlfriends, H, 27-year-old, and A, 21-year-old. At one point, we were living in a one-bedroom apartment. Around that time, I found out a friend that I considered my brother was homeless. Well, obviously, I couldn't let that happen, so I called into work and went to go get him. He came to live with us for a few months. I knew he did drugs. I used to do them too, but I wanted to help him better himself. We gave him a free place to stay, free food, we drove him around, and would even let him borrow our vehicles from time to time. We eventually moved into a new place, and it was huge. The living room alone is bigger than our entire old apartment. 4-bed, 3-bath, 2-car garage, massive living dining room, and kitchen. Plus it sat on a big stocked pond. Sorry for the bragging, but I'm quite proud of myself about this. Well, my brother moved with us, and since I went and got him, he has borrowed money left and right. At one point, I let him borrow my card because one of his lady friends sent me money for him. Didn't think much of it. He's done this in the past with no issue. But this time he stole almost $200 from my account and disappeared. Needless to say, I was not happy. About a month goes by and he hits me up saying he's clean and he knows he effed up and how sorry he was. I went to go meet him for drinks and he legit spent almost a full hour nonstop apologizing. He even brought a case of beer and a bottle of vodka. I told him don't worry. His actions are forgiven, but the money would be added to what he owes us. Well, a couple weeks down the road, he's having issues with his new girlfriend and wants to come stay with us again. I told him unless he royally F's up, he always has a place with us. He moves in and things quickly go back to how it was before. He was using again. He even roped me into using again too. I don't blame him for that. I'm an adult and the decision was mine. Eventually, it got to the point where he was taking our vehicles out of town without my knowledge and sometimes just taking it without asking. He owes us over $2,000 and A is pregnant through all of this. A is not happy with my brother. We'll call him B. And H wants him out. Now, one reason our relationship is different than others, other than the obvious, is they allow me the final say on almost everything because they know I will always do what's best for them. I tell them to give him a little more time and they say okay. Well, A gives birth to my adorable little girl. Best day of my life. I'm crying with joy. I'm hugging my family. I'm hugging strangers. There was nothing that could ruin this. Or so I thought. I get home later that night to go to my night job. It's only an hour at night. When I show up in an Uber, the car is gone. I tell B I need the car, so I can go to work. He throws a fit. An 8-year-old would be ashamed of. Says he's going to move out because he can't go see some chick. Me. Sorry, but my work takes priority over your sex life. Also, do you think you will get anything as good as this? I'm trying to help you here, and you are being unreasonable. B doesn't respond and takes forever bringing the car back, which has become his norm. When he finally gets back, 4 hours after I was supposed to be at work, he wakes me up to apologize because the girl he was going to see made him do so. Well, as time goes on, he gets even more entitled. Borrows one of his chick's cars and parks it in the center of the garage so we can't get in. So I take our cars and park them right up against the closed garage door so he can't get out, and A and H give me their keys, so B has to deal with me if he wants out. When he finally goes out to leave, he notices the cars and is actually polite about asking me to move them, mainly because he was starting a new job and him actually keeping it rested on me that very moment. B says, "Do I need to move out?" No, but there will be some changes. First, we won't be lending you any more money. Second, no more overnight guests besides girl he has seen a lot. And third, no more borrowing the cars. We will drive you places for interviews and work when you get a job. Otherwise, it'll be the same. You don't have to contribute to rent or food. Side note, the reason no more overnight guests is because we have 2 dogs that absolutely adore my daughter, and because if they go off when they see or hear someone, they don't know. They have, however, gotten used to the girl I made the exception for. "I'll just move out. All of that seems extreme. There's no reason to not let me use your car. If this is about parking in the garage, it was thundering. Did you want me to get hit by lightning?" There's literally hundreds of things around lightning would hit before him. And the no overnight guest thing is BS. I'm not 16 and I won't be treated like it. No, you're not 16. That'd be too mature for the way you've been acting. I'd say more like 8. And they are our cars, you effing dip crap. We don't need a reason not to let you borrow them, but if you need one, here's 3. You take them out of town without telling us. You sometimes take them without asking, and you always bring them back empty. That's not fair. There's something wrong with the gas system in that one car. Yeah, the amount of gas you put into it. And if you seriously think you're not doing anything wrong, you need to see a shrink. It's worth noting the car with gas issues was low on oil, but that would not cause issues as bad as he was saying it is. Last I knew, he was driving around in the same girl's car, living in it. She was about to report the car stolen when he finally took it back. He is now exactly where he was when I tried to help him almost a year ago, a homeless drug addict. Except now he has burned bridges with me as well as a lot of people that were willing to help him because he just had to have everything his way. Now nothing is his way. Added note, B is usually a great guy when he's not on drugs, and I only let him come back in the second time because I believed he was clean. Let's see how the community reacts to all of this. Voyager7 says, you let your girlfriends down. Big time. They trusted you with the final decisions, and you claimed that you'd always make those decisions in their best interest. Yet, you welcomed into their home not only somebody who made their lives substantially more difficult, and didn't send him away when he made trouble for them the first several times, but somebody who got you using drugs again. Neither your decision to keep B around as long as you did, nor your decision to start using it again while he was there were in the best interests of your family. For shame. They should have taken control back, seeing that you could no longer be trusted to make decisions properly on their behalf. Aviation Nut 63 wants to chime in. You let this go for a lot longer than you should have. Good on you for finally cutting him loose. You can help people, but they have to take responsibility for themselves as well. No Regular 1460 has this to say. They know I will always do what's best for them. Really? You allowed an unemployed mooch drug addict to live for free in the house with all of you and a baby. He encouraged you to relapse, took your cars frequently with no warning, and brought them back eventually with no gas. Stole money, cards, brought an uninvited unknown girl into your house who also stays for free, makes you miss work, etc. Does any of this sound like you are doing what's best for your family? Since you're determined to let your brother take advantage of you, why don't you just rent an apartment for him? The ladies won't have to clean up after him, he won't be a threat to your child, and he can financially ruin you without bringing drugs and alcohol into your home. Sounds like you're helping him not to hit rock bottom on his own. This is called enabling. I think there's truth in the comments, OP. Although your intentions were to help this man, you were enabling him. I think it was risky to have an addict in the house with a child. And although you're right, it's not him that's making the decisions for when it comes to relapsing. You knowingly put yourself into an environment that would test you, ultimately leading to your own relapse. That's not something that's in the best interest of your family. People can't be helped until they want to be helped. Do you think that's true? What are your thoughts on OP's decisions to help his brother? Next up, OP fights for a seat with a view. Entitled Mother on the Flight. I only ever read these kinds of encounters on Reddit, so it made me taken aback when it happened to me. Sorry for the English, not my first language. Hopefully my experience fits this sub. Sorry for the format on the phone. Edit for formatting. Last month, I took a flight back home after visiting my parents. Boarding time, I walked to my seat, 23A. There were already someone sitting there. I had to double check, make sure it's the 23rd row. Yep, I was right. So I told the lady sitting there, it's my seat. Suddenly, a man on 23D offered me 23E seat. Turns out they are a family, and the mother didn't want to be separated from her children, who's in 23B and 23C. So she took my 23A. I was confused. It's not like she will be long separated from her children. The children were in 23B and C. She and her husband were in 23D and E. I only separated by an aisle. Obviously, I refused. I specifically booked a window seat. It could help me feel ease looking at the clouds and help me fall asleep. The seat they offered me to trade was a middle seat, 23E, trapped between the dad, 23D, and a random man, 23F, in a narrow airplane seat? Nope. I feel suffocated already. I flatly replied, no, I booked the window seat. The mother immediately felt offended. She replied harshly, so you don't mind we, a family, sitting separately? Well, why don't you book the right seats in the first place? Didn't say this out loud, though. I was only replaying my words. That's my seat. I was adamant with my answer. Finally, she's up. Walking away from my seat with angry words, she whispered silently towards me. I chose not to pay any attention to them, However, things changed afterward. Her children were still sitting on the 23B and 23C seat. Obviously, I could not walk to my seat. I asked them politely to get out of their seat so I could get in. What did the mother do? Body shamed me.
Kids, get up. Her body is huge. She could not get in.
My weight is above the woman's height average in my country. Plus, I gained like 10 kilograms in the pandemic. I have body dysphoria already. Comments like those hurt my feelings badly. With that comment, I couldn't stay silent. I replied, "So what? So what if I'm huge?" She did not silence easily. She kept on and on the insults towards me, even louder. Her daughter, silently, with blatant panic, whispered at me,
"Please forgive my mother. She is always like that."
Her daughter, who I assumed no more than 12 years old, looks sincere. It helps tune out the angry insults from aisle beyond because I felt bad for her. The angry tirade stops around 5 minutes later when the mother told her kids to move seats a few rows away. Once more, the daughter pleaded apologies to me. It's crazy to think that a 12-year-old was way more emotionally mature than her entitled 40s mother. The whole time, her mother spouts insults at me. The daughter looked pale and her body rigid, her gaze fixated at one spot. I assume she was very embarrassed. Poor kid. Time for those community comments. Friendly Beyond 6102 says, "There were 4 of them, so they couldn't all sit together anyway. They could have swapped so that each parent had a kid next to them. Problem solved." She wasn't just entitled, she was stupid to boot. Catamino says, "Her reasoning doesn't even make sense. They had 4 seats, 2 on each side of the aisle. Dad could sit with one kid while mom sat with the other." The OP replies, "Now that I think about it, I guess she just wanted the window seat. Her original seat is in the middle, 23E. Usually kids love the window seat. Should have put one of her kids on 23A. But no, she's the one who sat there. But the other explanation, that she is very stupid, is more plausible." Freudtastic says, 6 years from now, that mother is going to wail on her Facebook,
"What did I do wrong?"
when her daughter is 18 and wants to go no contact with her. If they were that worried about sitting together, they could have easily hopped onto whatever website it was for the airline and checked it electronically to pick their seats before everyone else. It also seemed like the children were old enough to sit amongst themselves. Whatever it was, there's no excuse to belittle someone that way that she tried to do with you. Lastly, a Karen takes off from the cops. Entitled Karen comes to our plant shop and starts moving and stealing stuff. This is my first encounter with a Karen. So for context, my mom opens a plant shop, and I help around the store occasionally. We've had all sorts of entitled customers and not so bright customers. We even had a customer come in and ask for a green plant with leaves. But this lady tips the scale all the way. So I'm out front putting plants and decoration out the front of the entrance as we do every day. And then a wild Karen appeared. I hear this loud scraping sound from behind me. I look over to see this fat old lady moving the large concrete potted plant that had been permanently placed there. This potted plant wasn't easy to move. The concrete pot alone was a meter or so tall and had a gross weight of around 45 kilos. She was shoving this thing with all her might when I walk up to her and ask what she thinks she's doing. She turns to me and says, "This annoying thing was obstructing the sidewalk and needs to be moved." It was not obstructing anything. I tell her to please leave the plant alone. It is not her property. She ignores me and keeps moving the plant. I go to my mom, the manager of the store. But by the time we're out the front, she has stopped moving the plant and is now loading it up in her car with our plants from the front alongside with other things. My mom storms up to her and asks her what the heck she's doing. The Karen turns over with her face red as a tomato and says, "Since you had the audacity to block the sidewalk with your crap, I should be compensated with these free plants." My mom has just about had it and starts unloading our plants from her car. She starts screaming and demanding us not to touch her stuff. She said she would call the police and press charges for theft. Then I chimed in and said, "Actually, we have security footage of you stealing from our store, and if you do not leave, we will call the police." Karen was fuming and muttering incomprehensibly. We hadn't actually called the police yet, but by sheer random chance, a police car happened to drive by the store, and the Karen's face turned from red to white. She had actually thought we called the police. She hopped in her car and sped opposite of the police car and didn't even notice. We haven't seen that entitled Karen since. This is just chaotic from start to finish. It's embarrassing to think that she thought she should have been compensated for something that wasn't even obstructing anything. How foolish. She was clearly looking for everything and anything to help her get something for free. she would have had a better chance by pretending to fall over the concrete pot and stubbing her toe. What are your experiences with a wild Karen? Let us know in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today on rLounge. Before you go, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you have something you want to say regarding today's content, share that with us in the comments below.